Greetings from Black Forest in Germany, and let's talk about hiking shoes today. So today I'm hiking in Black Forest in Germany. This is a very cool place to hike if you are ever in Germany. In the south of Germany, come here. It's a very big forest which has many hiking routes, very nice small villages. It's very beautiful. But today let's talk about hiking shoes. So I have 5 tips which I hope are gonna help you to pick your best hiking shoes and will help you in your next adventure. Okay, so tip number 1 can sound a little bit contradictory because we are talking about hiking shoes, but just bear with me and I'm gonna tell you a story because I did 2 times so-called Camino de Santiago, which is in Spain. So it's like a pilgrimage from France to the city called Santiago de Compostela, and it's like you walk every day for 30-40 kilometers. You sleep in pilgrim hostels, and when you reach Santiago de Compostela you can continue a bit and you can go to Finisterre, which is by the ocean, which is very nice. So I did it 2 times, once in 2009 and another time in 2014. I did 2 more times another direction from Portugal, but it's a different story. So the first time in 2009 I did it with hiking shoes, and the thing is that Spain mostly is quite flat. I can say that I experienced mountains in Spain maybe 2 times, and I would say hiking shoes are very good for mountains, but it's not very good to hike long distances in flat surfaces, and especially in the cities. My advice is that if you hike in the flat places, your hike is mostly, let's say, on pavement or in very well kept hiking paths and so on, maybe it's better not to take hiking shoes because they are heavy. Your foot swollens very fast in those hiking shoes, even if they are with GoreTex and so on, and it can cause you a lot of problems. Because in 2009, when I walked more than 1,000 kilometers with those shoes, it was painful every day. It was very hard. It was no pleasure at all. So for the next time I thought, okay, let's try to walk all that distance with running shoes. And it was such a relief because running shoes are very durable. They are made for durability. Every running shoe is made at least for 1,000 kilometers, unless it's some kind of special race running shoes and so on. Running shoes are very light and they are durable, and it's no problem to walk 40 kilometers. For me it's no problem to walk 40 kilometers with running shoes and have no problems. So it may sound contradictory, as I told before, but just think about it. If you are living in a flat region, let's say something in Europe or maybe Netherlands, Belgium, I don't know, maybe if your hiking routes don't have any bad paths, no, let's say, wet paths, no mountains, no rocky paths and so on, I think it's better to take running shoes, not hiking shoes, because hiking shoes are made for mountains, for bad conditions, for bad routes and roads and paths. So my first tip is just think about where you're gonna hike the most. If it's in plain spaces, plain paths, take good running shoes. GoreTex running shoes are even better, so you're not gonna regret it. Okay, tip number 2. So if you can, always buy GoreTex. It's gonna save you from rainy days. It's gonna save you from some unexpected wet paths in the nature, maybe some ponds, maybe small marshes. GoreTex is always better because GoreTex simply saves you from the rain, from any wet conditions. So if you're gonna hike, it's very unpleasant to hike when you are wet, and it's gonna lead, it can lead, and it mostly leads to some bad blisters and pains in the foot. So if you can, always buy GoreTex. You're not gonna regret it. GoreTex may not last forever on your shoe because it's when you move, the material flexes and it breaks at some point, but always buy GoreTex if you can. Okay, tip number 3. Let's talk about price. So that is very tricky, especially when you go to the shop. You see some stuff which is extremely expensive, let's say 500 euros for your shoes. You can see some for 100 euros, maybe even less, and you see something in the middle. So always say, choose something in the middle. If you buy something very cheap, you can even tear it apart after your first hike, and you're gonna regret that you spent, let's say, 80 euros for some very bad hiking shoes. Another thing is, if you think, okay, I'm gonna spend 500 euros for the best hiking shoes in the shop, and so then I'm gonna be happy and so on. The thing is, and it goes for everything which is related to hiking, if you want to choose the most expensive stuff, let's say maybe a backpack for 500 euros, maybe a rain jacket for 500 euros, most of the time bad stuff is for extreme conditions and for extreme professionals and so on. Those hiking shoes for 500 euros, maybe you can even cross Antarctica with those shoes. You can maybe climb Mount Everest. Bad stuff, if you are middle level hiker or beginner, don't go for that stuff. Maybe it's okay if you of course, if you can spare that money, you can buy it, and maybe it can last for you for 10 years or maybe 20. It can happen. If you buy good stuff, it can last forever, especially if you don't use it that too much, and if you buy let's say 500 hiking shoes and you hike all the time in flat surfaces and don't go too wet, it can last for a very long time. But I would say always go for the stuff which is priced in the middle. Let's say good hiking shoes, I think you can buy really good hiking shoes for 200 euros, maybe 150 euros. Always, I would suggest always buy a brand which you know, or at least you have heard that it has some experience and so on, so that gives you some credibility. Quality should be better. I would never go for some cheap Chinese, I don't know, Taiwanese, Indonesian brands which they don't have those conditions, don't have that quality, and so I don't want to say that all those brands are bad from those countries, but I would say always go for the quality. So I would say that 150 euros, 200 euros for good hiking shoes, GoreTex hiking shoes, it's safe to go, and it should last for you for at least couple years, maybe 5 years, if you don't hike too much, you don't go to very extreme conditions, you don't go to the mountains every second day. That should last for you a long time. Tip number 4, the size of hiking shoes. So this thing, the size of hiking shoe, if you choose wrongly, that can cause you a lot of problems. Let's say if in Europe you have a size 42 and you have your shoes to walk in the city, maybe go to the gym. For hiking shoes, always choose at least one size bigger shoes, because if you go long hikes, and especially if you have GoreTex shoes, your foot swollen. So better to have bigger, and when your foot swollen, you don't have too much pain. Always buy a little bit bigger for the hikes, so you're not gonna experience blisters and bruises and wounds and so on. So always go for a little bit bigger. Okay, so I hiked maybe 5 kilometers now, and I came to this nice Hütte, Heuberghütte. Oh, this looks very cool. I can see that I can say that in Black Forest you can find a lot of such small buildings. I don't know what is inside. If you can see, I can see oven, a table, some wood prepared, but I have no idea who can go here and who can get the key and have a good time. Or maybe let's check, maybe it's open. Maybe I can open. Oh yes, oh that's cool. So you see there's prepared wood. It always happens in Germany and Switzerland, because they better prepare that wood when you go into the forest and take it yourself, so you don't destroy the forest. So I see some paper, some wood, I don't know, so this glove, so you don't burn yourself, some, I don't know how you call it it's not oven, okay, but to burn wood, and maybe cook something. So okay, we can call it oven. Oh, it's a furnace. Yes, furnace. In English, it's furnace. So you can get pretty warm. I think it can take you 1 hour, and this small house is full of heat. Okay, now I want to open. Okay, we have some things to clean, and there's candles. That's very cool. To make it light for you. There's some pens, maybe write something. This is very cool. I must come here sometime later and make a nice dinner or something like that. This is very cool. I'm excited. That looks very nice. And you can see as well outside some tables to sit, and there's always this grilling space so you can make something with some old kanderwerk, ringwerk. This is the routes, the name of routes when you can go in the Black Forest. Okay, so let's talk about tip number 5. And tip number 5 is, it's not about the size of your foot in the shoe, but the size of a hiking shoe. I'm gonna put some pictures on the top of this video so we have idea, because if you go to the shop, there's always different sizes of the shoe in the height. You can see like some are like running shoes, very small, then there's higher, and there's some very high hiking shoes, which I would say again, it's for some extreme conditions. Maybe you go very deep in the snow. Some hiking shoes are for the desert, so the sand doesn't go into your shoe. So I would say never go for that high hiking shoes. I would say always go for the middle, because that bigger size gives you stability. So if you sometimes go to the mountains, maybe you experience some tree roots on the road, so it can make you stable. You're gonna have some stability, you're gonna have a good time. So go for the middle, it's gonna be safe. Don't go for that small one, because if you go for that small one, I think running shoes are better because they don't give too much stability. Running shoes with GoreTex, I think even better because they are light, they are durable. There's no need to buy that small, buy that higher. It gives you stability. You can go even to mountains or some extreme conditions sometimes, not to very high and deep snow, because there's other ways to save yourself from the snow going into the shoe, but always go for that middle stuff. Okay, so I hope those 5 tips is gonna help you to choose your best hiking shoes. If you have any more questions, please make them in the comments. I'm gonna answer all of your questions. There's of course many more, maybe situations, more shoes, more materials to consider. All of that stuff can happen to you in the nature, so you maybe have any more questions. And please don't forget to subscribe. We have many more tips coming up, and have a nice day.